3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, hello. This is Ignacy from Portal Games.
And Corey Thompson from Dice Tower News, Dice Tower Now, Dice Tower Dish.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 274, and we're recording this on April 26, 2023. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and we have been nominated for a Golden Geek Award for Best Podcast of the Year. Thank you, seriously, all of you for helping us make that happen, for going and doing those nominations. Thank you very much. And of course,
it's just a first step. Come on.
And of course, you know who was not nominated? That would be Tom Vasson. I just want to point that out. But the point is, it is only the first step for us to win this award. And by the time you hear this, you're literally going to have 3 to 4 days. I think it ends on like May 7th at midnight Central Time. So please, we beg of you, if you didn't do the nomination, you can do the final voting. It's at BoardGameGeek.com/Geek Awards/Board Game. And if you can't remember that, go on to Board Game Geek. It's right there in the upper left corner. Golden Geek Awards. Click there. Aldi puts this great post up. And then you click on that first link where he says, go and do your voting. And by the way, you can vote for Best Game of the Year and other things, as well as you can, say you listen to 5 podcasts. Just rank them all. Make us number 1, of course, but rank them all so that, you give love to everybody. And by the way, I have no notion that we're going to win this, sadly, because there are so many good podcasts up there.
Oh, man.
I mean, yeah, I hope we do.
Some real heavy hitters.
I don't want Ignacy to cry again. So I'm hoping we win, but it's going to be a rough road to hoe, as they say.
I'm doing my best. I mean, I've been so good on Insider that once I joined, you guys were finally nominated. So I'm doing my part.
Ignacy, take us out of here. Make this guy's ego go away. What's happening at Portal Games? Ignacy.
We are finishing the campaign for the Thorgal. When you are listening it, of course, you missed it. It's too late. Because the campaign ends in 2 days as we are recording. We have almost 2,000 backers. You never know, but generally speaking, Kickstarters and Game Fund campaigns work the way that there's so many people who decide to back the project in the last 24 hours. So we hope to reach these 2,000 backers, which is very, very cool. On a side note, I literally cannot understand the psychology behind the fact when we do all these Kickstarters and there's like 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, 60 seconds left, and we see still backers coming. Like people are waiting to the very last second. What the hell? Why, guys, you are waiting to the last moment?
You got 2,000 backers. That's pretty darn good already. So congratulations on that. But of course, everybody should go check out Thorgal, with a TH, not Torgal, as Ignacy says, Thorgal on Kickstarter.
On that TH sound, the Thorn letter. That
it's Game Found, right?
That's a hard letter.
It's on Game Found. Okay, what else you got going on there?
We have some street dates, so we are finishing a release of all the expansions for the 11. 11 is our Football Manager board game. We released 5 expansions. 2 of them were released in April, and the last 5th one will be released in May, on May 17th to be precise. This is an expansion called Unexpected Events. This is my favorite one. It's super random, super crazy. During the match, things happen like in a real sport. So you just draw a card and see what happens. And sometimes you may have the argument with the referee. Sometimes the fans do some crazy stuff on the stadium. So Unexpected Events for 11 on May 17th, and the same date on May 17th, the big release for Portal Games 51st State, the Ultimate Edition, the big box of 51st State. Is it still in shrink?
I'm still giving you a lot of publicity here by having it here on my desk. It's the only game on my desk. It is huge. Look at the size of this thing.
I'm going to say he bought 4 of them, and this is one of the ones he keeps in shrink so that it does not lose value.
It's going to go onto my shelf of shame very soon.
We will play it one day for sure. Yeah, so being a serious, 51st State is one of my old games, but Is it the phrase in English that something is getting old but very good, like aging well, something like that?
It's a classic.
Yeah. So yeah, the game was released in 2010, so it's like 13 years ago, and still sells very, very well. I appreciate all the backers because it was on the Game Found, and then I appreciate all of you who missed the Game Found and will buy it at your local game store on May 17th. So this is with the 51st state. Now, we were super busy, obviously, for the past 2 weeks with Sorgal, running the whole campaign, updates, comments, discussion with the fans, etc., etc. In the meantime, we restock our web store. So if you are our listener from America, and if you were looking for some promos, some small expansions, we send to America, to our warehouse in America, a lot of things. So it is a restock. Check out our portalgamesvs.com. This weekend, this Saturday in Poland, we are doing a NeuroShimaCon. As you guys know, NeuroShima is super popular in Poland. This is absolutely evergreen here for us in Poland, and we are doing the one-day convention dedicated to only this one game. So fans will be playing the game in various places. We are doing online convention for the many hours, live stream, etc., etc. But I know it's in Polish, so I will not bore you to death with this update. For things that might be interesting for our listeners in America and in Europe, this past week we received a sample copy, the production sample copy of Imperial Miners. This is my release for Essen this year. It looks stunning. I was looking for anything that I can find to fix it, to make it better, to give feedback to the manufacturer that we want to change this component, we want to add this thing, but it is amazing. It looks stunning. I'm so proud. I cannot wait for Essen to release this game, Imperial Miners, for all of fans who love Imperial Settlers. My old game, Imperial Miners, is a no-brainer. It's gonna be amazing, and I will bring a copy with me to America when I finally go to the plane, risk my life, and arrive to some convention. But the sample is here and is amazing. So I'm very, very proud.
Okay.
Why are you laughing, gentlemen? What's so funny?
Talking about the airplanes.
I take 40 flights a year, and it's.
I was supposed to be at the
barely been
gathering of
home.
friends, Alan Moore's gathering of friends. I was supposed. One thing happened, and it was this one thing that I said to Mary, we cannot go because this one thing happened, so we have to cancel, and I canceled. So yeah, if I'm not that scared of the planes, probably I would make it. But one thing happened here in Poland, and planes, and yeah.
Oh, okay.
No worries.
Anything else? You done?
Thank you.
All right, Corey, what you got going on? I know you got some big news.
Oh, well, I am at the GAMA Expo right now. This is the Games Manufacturers Association Trade Expo, retailers, publishers, designers. And I am in my 14th day in a row at a convention. I literally was home for about 6 hours between gathering of friends and the GAMA Expo. So I've got my new lovely hotel room in the background here. And it's been fun. I'm half dead, but I am wandering through crowded rooms of really loud people looking at new games. The big one here is Ravensburger. It has the first public view among the retailers and everything of Disney Locana. This is the new Disney-driven trading card that's just on fire. And I got to tell you, everywhere that they have it out, the crowds are obscene. There are so many people crowding in. They have a little raffle system going on if you want to play Lorcana, but there's just crowds, 5, 6, 7, 8 people deep around the table, just watching, looking at the cards. It's a relatively light trading card game. We were just talking earlier, it's probably targeted towards the non-gamer market a little more, but you put Disney and original art on anything and people are going nuts. So that's definitely the biggest thing going on.
Have you gotten a demo or a play?
I watched. It's really a lottery system. If you get to sit at the table has probably about 10 people playing. But yeah, it's lottery system to get in there and play.
As long as you can see it. I mean, and your take
Yeah.
is it's a light CCG, TCG, right?
It is. It
Okay.
is. It's a light CCG, easy to pick up. Set one of Lorcana is going to release probably around Gen Con. It sounds like it's going to have a release system similar to Magic with quarterly boxes that are going to release. But it's gorgeous. The art, I know that they spent years working on the art to make it just right. The other one that I saw here at GAMA, which perked my interest a little bit, which is an interesting, weird one, is Amigo is retheming the old Uwe Rosenberg classic Bonanza, the bean game. And that's really funny because most gamers just refer to
Why?
it as the bean game. Well, if
Exactly.
you think about it, the artwork on Bonanza, quite honestly, it's not that good, but
It's
we love
terrible.
it. It's
That's
bad, and it's all based on German puns. So, and the
so
puns
what
don't
you are
really
saying is that
translate and all
they
this.
are receiving it only for American market, or do you think they are receiving
It
it
is
for the whole
only for
Europe?
the American market.
Okay, so it makes
And
sense.
the new
Okay.
version is called Dahlias, and it has Beth Sobel art with flowers.
Win
It's
strategy.
the base game of Bonanza only, no expansions. And I didn't realize it, but they had actually revised the rules on the base game of Bonanza when they released the anniversary edition. So it's really a very simplified version of Bonanza. But I think it's a pretty good idea. It's going to bring new people into the game, and it is a fantastic card game. It's one of my favorites. So gorgeous art. That one I thought was really interesting. It's I think it's a good move that they're bringing it out of the cartoony German pun bean, stink bean and blue bean Bonanza. So
Very cool.
Dahlias from Amiga.
Very cool. And here over at the Podfather of Gaming, the first thing I have to mention again, I've mentioned this recently, my role-playing group where we're playing D&D 5e with my industry friends, we were able for the first time at the Gathering of Friends to sit down at a table and play. And normally we have like a hard limit of 2 hours every other Wednesday. So things progress relatively slowly in that format. We sat down for possibly a total of 6 or 7 hours, broken up only by going to the restroom and getting meals, and played an epic session of this game, which we call the Party of Insanity, because everyone's playing some version of a chaotic character. Shout out again to my players, and especially Alex Schmidt, who controls these nuts. And the great thing that happened here is that we literally crescendoed where we've set time backwards 10,000 years for us. So we have to make a decision. Are we going to continue 10,000 years in the past? Are we going to call it like that was the end of the campaign because it's such a big thing? Or maybe a little bit of both, where we do a few sessions to close the movie out and restart a new campaign. So it was an amazing experience. And that's what you get, when you get people together for that amount of time and you're having a great experience. So thank you to Alex, Julie, Rachel, Dustin. Fantastic time. Quick shout out to my buddy Chad, who's doing Pathfinder 1E with us too. We're almost at the end of it, over 3-year campaign that's going on there. Thank you for all those good times, but we've only been online the whole time. As we've been mentioning last episode, where Corey and I were present there and Ignacy couldn't make it, we were at the Gathering of Friends. We got back. I am absolutely exhausted, but it was an absolutely amazing time. Got in play tests, of my new game, got some great feedback. We're going to make some changes to it. The games that I played, I mentioned a lot of them last time, but I'm going to call out a couple more. I played Moon Leap. Corey, did you play that one with me?
No, that one went under my radar.
It's from Playte, Playte. It's a South Korean
Okay.
designer, publisher. They're a design team that I can think they do their own, but they're trying to look for publishers. 2 publishers immediately after playing it are sitting and said, I'm publishing this game. It is the lightest beer and pretzels game, but it's so much fun, where you have 5 astronauts and you're leaping over each other on the moon to try to get your astronauts into the final 3 spaces to score the most points, and other astronauts will score depending on where they are in this track. So much silly fun that literally, I don't want to say who, but two publishers like, I'm calling these guys, I got to get this game. So look out for somebody who's going to publish Moonleap in the near future, and I got to go buy it because I thought it was so cool. I played Applejack, really fun, light game. I'm not sure I mentioned it last time, so I'll call it out. It's a cute, very light, I don't set collection area control. It's very much multiplayer solitaire. You're just doing it in front of you, where you're trying to get your apple fields together to score points. I liked it. Not going to go in.
Love Applejack. That's from Game Builders. It's my friend Andreas Odendahl's company, Oda. He's the designer behind La Granja and Cooper Island. So that's the first title out of his new studio. Fantastic.
I know Oda very well, so regards to Oda, and good luck with this one. It was quite good.
I hear it's been picked up by a U.S. publisher for distribution.
Oh, excellent to hear. And finally, for gaming, Quartermaster General World War II edition. It's just an amazing 6-player World War II game. You want to get 6 players together. You can play with 2, but there are 6 factions in the game, all of the major powers that were during World War II. And it's Axis versus Allies in all of that. And you really want to have 6 players because the interactions between everybody at the table and the trash talking, it's very light war game, like lighter than Memoir 44 light. And people call it World War II, the party game, which is pretty funny combination of those 2 words, those 2 phrases. But love it. We'll play this game anytime. Plays in an hour, 90 minutes. Once you know the rules, it's very close. You just play a card, draw back to your hand size, and keep going around. Fantastic ultralight war game. Right after this, as soon as this is over, I'm dressed for the occasion. For those who see me here, I'm wearing my NASA polo shirt here, which Ignacy noticed, and Corey, being oblivious, didn't even notice I was not branded with Podfather of Gaming, except for my mug of coffee here. But I'm going up to the Kennedy's coffee. I am going up to the Kennedy Space Center to see a special launch, a Falcon Heavy launch. The Falcon Heavy is the largest commercial rocket currently in service, not even near the size of what SpaceX is also doing down there in Texas in their testing for the Starship Super Heavy, not near the size of the SLS, which is going to take us to the moon. But this is a very, very big rocket, 5 million pounds of thrust. They're launching a satellite. I'm going down to see it. I've never seen this particular rocket in person. I wanted to get down there. It was delayed from last week, so it made it perfect. I can get down there now and get a chance to see it. I'm going to try to do some live streams, possibly later today, about the rocket and the experience. So check that out at the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel.
If I could throw in one more minute just for you, Stephen.
You cannot.
Okay, I'm done.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It. No. You guys do it. It's fine.
Go ahead.
So I played a new cooperative game called Mission Control Critical Orbit from 3WS Games. Cooperative 4-player, plays like Captain Sonar, but it is essentially, there's an astronaut in orbit that their ship has broken and they need to fix it. Then the other 3 players are ground control. And it is a real-time dice placement dry erase game. The astronaut player is feeding dice values to the other 3, who are frantically doing dry erase marking on their board, attempting to give supplies back to the astronaut player so that they can complete a puzzle. Ridiculous fun. And it's, got that space theme that I think you probably like.
I probably would like that. I have not heard about it. I will search that out. The name again is?
It is Mission Control Critical Orbit.
That's a really bad name. But anyway, I'm sure it's excellent. I'm gonna check it out. Let's get over to the event deck. All right, listen. Event deck, all about the news. Biggest news of the week. BGI, Board Game Insider, what you're listening to or watching right now, has been nominated for a Golden Geek Award. This is Ignacy's dream to win this. Don't disappoint Ignacy. Please, you can now vote. You only have 3 days from the time you hear this. We'll post. Hopefully, you'll see it in
Look at that
places.
face. You don't want him to cry. I mean,
very
it's really.
sad.
I've seen it. It's terrible.
Please go over to boardgamegeek.com/geek awards/boardgame, or just there on the left-hand side, you'll see it. Click into all these posts and then click where you do the voting. You can vote for all these things. Best game of the year, best expansion, best art, best podcast. Please vote us number one. I hope you think we're number one, and vote for your other favorite podcast. There's so many good podcasts that have been nominated, but feel free to vote for them below us in the list, if you'd like. Okay, so please don't make Ignacy sad. It's really pitiful to watch him cry. Anyway, the first piece of news here is that Ares Games and Phalanx set to end a distribution agreement after 5 years, and Phalanx is going exclusive with GTS. The distribution agreement between the two companies began forming in 2017 when Ares picked up Hannibal and Hamilcar, Rome versus Carthage, for U.S. distribution. Previously, Phalanx Games had been entering U.S. markets through Mayfair Games, and then before that, and then after that, it was by Asmodee. And prior to Mayfair, they had been distributed in the U.S. by Rio Grande Games. So they don't give you a reason, of course, on this kind of thing. I think that they simply just want to get their own deeper penetration into the U.S. North American market. Phalanx has had as a design studio, basically, has had a very long and storied history of producing some very excellent, mostly war games or historical games and with war components. And it's nice to see them, trying to make a bigger push into obviously the biggest game market out there. No comments, guys. That's fine. All right.
No, Phalanx has been huge in the market for a long time, and it's interesting. It's always been this shifting around of distributors claiming exclusive rights to, and companies moving from distributor to distributor. So it's interesting to see this happening again.
So in real time, Ignacy has thrown news at us, placing it in the show notes just to give you a little behind the scenes. I was literally
Stephen will read anything off the script, so you really need to be careful what you put in there.
I probably would. I literally clicked on the next news story, and as I clicked on it, I see this stuff happening above what I just clicked on. So it's like breaking news, and it actually is breaking. Basically, this is a press release from
I'm surprised
yesterday.
that Corey is not bringing this, because this is from his hotel room. This is from his hotel. Like, this is from GAMA.
How does he not know? Corey, I don't want to fire you yet because you're too green on this show. It's sort of like,
Yeah. You're
sent
afraid
Corey
it'll
to
kill
GAMA
your chances for the award.
I can make all kind of. Go ahead.
Yeah, because we sent Corey to GAMA, and instead of getting news, he's playing Disney Locana.
That's all I'm doing.
We sent him there. I love that. Yes, we paid for your entire trip there, and why have you not found the important news? You know what? Maybe I should
Portal Games the bill for my trip to GAMA.
I don't hear you. I have some connection problems.
This is a non-political statement, but maybe the way Fox News fired Tucker Carlson and CNN fired Don Lemon, maybe this very important news outlet, Board Games Insider, should fire Corey Thompson. Just, hey, we're all firing people, so why not? Anyway.
No comments.
Feeling the love.
All right. This actually is pretty darn big, interesting news, and it's so interesting on many levels. It's released by PSI, Publisher Services Incorporated, which we talk about a lot, partnering with GTS Distribution. PSI and GTS Distribution announced today at GAMA that they have entered a strategic partnership that will make PSI's publishing partners portfolio of highly sought-after games, puzzles, and toys available to independent specialty retailers via GTS Distribution's vast network. Both retailers and consumers will benefit from this partnership. Retailers gain an additional option to help build their businesses, while consumers who previously could not can now purchase products from PSI publishing partners. PSI is a leading North American sales and fulfillment organization providing full-service sales, warehousing, and consulting to leading tabletop game and entertainment manufacturers such as Steve Jackson Games, Czech Games, T-Turtle, Catalyst Games, etc., Stronghold Games, Indie Boards and Cards. So many companies use PSI to warehouse and then for them to sell out to distribution. So why is this so significant? Because it's just another, PSI now selling to one of the big five in the US. GTS is one of them. The reason this is so significant is because with fairly equally big fanfare just 2 years ago, PSI ended their relationship with GTS. They didn't put out a press release or anything like that, but with no notice to GTS, and I know a lot about what happened here, with no notice to GTS, basically they ended their relationship and they stopped selling to GTS, and they only were selling to Alliance, the biggest of the big five, so to speak. Alliance, ACD, and PhD. They might have been still selling to Southern Hobby, but Southern Hobby basically removed themselves from board gaming. They stopped selling to the number 3, Asmodee Distribution, which is at least as big as anybody we're talking about. Doesn't count because they only do their own stuff and publishers that they bring in direct. They don't, to my knowledge, buy from PSI. So, gentlemen, what do you think about this? PSI going back now to sell to GTS.
Well, obviously they just did it so they can get another press release out. I think that's probably the reason. No, this is huge. This is a team up of giants. These two companies always bickering, going apart, going together. So I think it's going to be good for the end retailer. We had a period of time there where exclusivity was turning into the law of the land, and everybody was separating off into little factions. And I know from the store owners, it got very difficult to figure out who to order from. So I think this is a move in the right direction.
Ignacy, you dropped it. So what do you want to say about this? It's huge.
No, I wanted to say the same what you said, that we just reported like a few years ago, we reported they are not working together. A few years passed, and the numbers are always the same. If you work together, you make a business together, you make better numbers. So at some point they decided, okay, whatever, let's do a business together and let's sell some games. I can give you a perspective from a publisher side, because obviously when PSI and GTS stopped working together, and I'm working with PSI, I was working with GTS directly because I couldn't afford, or perhaps I didn't want to afford, to lose this partner. So we had a direct connection with GTS. We were selling through them, but this additional work time, these additional emails, Skypes, talks, phone calls, etc. This additional payment for the shipping, because if, as you just mentioned, GTS orders the games from different publishers, and this is all sent through PSI. If I have to send the order direct to GTS, this is the additional shipment, is additional cost of shipment. So for us, for the publishers that you just listed, Catalyst Games, Indie Boards and Cards, Portal Games, and all other, this is great news. We are happy that we can reach now GTS through PSI without having to go direct. So good for everyone. I say the numbers will go up for everyone here.
I think that they and again, I'm going to reach out to my contacts, but I'm going to give a little bit of what I think. There was some animosity between the companies based on sales practices that were going on. I'm going to leave it at that. I have a feeling that they came to agreement to ensure that certain things would stay above board for all parties, because you have to have a fair playing balance field for the distribution tier to work. Distribution gets games and they're instructed to sell at a certain price. If certain partners start selling at different prices, the whole system crumbles. They begin to then compete on pricing, and that's not the way to do it. Compete on service, right? I can get you games faster. I can get you games in better shipment manners. That's the way that two distributors can compete with each other. If you start competing on pricing, the spiral just goes down and down and down, and no one's making any money. There's on pennies being made. People go out of business. So this is interesting. I will be reaching out to my buddies over at PSI and GTS to see how this all came up. I mean, they'll probably not tell me much, but hey, you know, I can give it a shot, you know? All right, one more, because Ignacy's constantly on that time. He's always watching, always watching.
I mean,
the
I
time.
threw this one earlier in the list because it's just in the same theme of giants teaming up and playing nice together. But if I could take this one.
You got it, man. Go for it.
Hasbro and Mattel have signed a multi-year licensing agreement to make crossover co-branded toys and games, the company announced. This is coming from ICV2. The licensing agreement revolves around brands involved in the two companies' upcoming theatrical releases for summer 2023. So it goes on, the toy industry just got a little bizarre as the two largest toy companies in the US, who have classically been rivals in the space, have decided to create co-branded products to help boost brands involved in their summer movie slate. So they're talking about Barbie branded Monopoly games in the fall, and this coincides with Mattel's Barbie movie. Mattel, in turn, will make Transformers branded Uno games and Hot Wheels cars, which will release after Transformers Rise of the Beasts. So two giants in the toy industry. And I know sometimes we poo-poo the Mattels and the Hasbros in the hobby niche market, but this is massive. These companies are huge. So it's kind of interesting that they're playing nice together.
It really is.
We spend the whole budget of our podcast for travel for Korea to GAMA, so we cannot afford a lawyer. So I will not comment on what I'm excited about the Monopoly Barbie because it would cost us too much. But yes, we really needed that Monopoly Barbie.
I know
thank
you
you
have
for
it
that.
pre-ordered.
Right.
So.
It certainly doesn't affect any of us as hobby gamers, but it affects the larger board game toy industry, and that's why it's in here, because these guys don't like each other. But you know what? When you decide money is kind of important, you team up to make more money together.
Numbers game.
It's a numbers game, and I'm gonna take one more because this was a huge announcement.
I was gonna say this one's big.
It's timely, Ignacy. So let me take this one. We'll be really quick. So Arcane Wonders unveils Call of Duty, the board game. New tactical game will head to retail after a Kickstarter campaign. Arcane Wonders, in partnership with Activision Publishing, unveiled Call of Duty, the board game, a new tactical game based on the popular video game, which will release into retail in 2024 after a Kickstarter campaign in the fall of 2023. The new Call of Duty, the board game, will allow players to take on the roles of elite soldiers as they battle it out on tabletop versions of maps from the Call of Duty video games. The gameplay features elements of strategy, tactical planning, and combat, and the game offers several scenarios and modes for players to experience. The game also has high-quality components and artwork. So I really wanted to bring this one up before we left, because this news is I thought this was going to be the big news of GAMA, and Disney Locana certainly, as Corey is saying, is the biggest thing people are looking at, because they're not Call of Duty. Arcane Wonders is not showing. Call of Duty is not being shown off there. Locana is.
No, it's here. Call of Duty is here.
They're showing the actual game, not production, though.
It's a pre-production copy. It's being played in private rooms. I've seen it. It looks fantastic. There's a lot of talk going on. People are really excited about it. Literally, Robert Geislinger, who's the president of Arcane, in the crowded foyer, was walking through the crowds holding a copy and just kind of casually smacking people in the head with it as he walked by.
So I have known about...
Finally, some amazing reporting from Corey. Now you're talking.
This is the bashing Corey episode.
This is the bashing Corey episode.
Remind me again why I joined this podcast. It's just for the awards and the water skiing, isn't it?
That's so I've known about this news for over a year. But NDA, I could not talk about it. Robert has been ebullient, great word for Ignacy. He's been just going out of his mind, holding this back, and he's just told a few of his friends about it. But they've got huge plans for this game. I don't want to say more than was in the press release, but there'll be multiple versions and this and that and factions and weapons, and it's I'm dying to see what this game is like. And I'm not even a Call of Duty, video game player, but what he's told me about what they're thinking about doing could be amazing. So congratulations to Arcane Wonders.
I have full confidence. Robert is such an amazing businessman. He's got this license. He's going to use this license.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great.
Robert is just the best. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Brian Pope, the CEO of the company, and everybody there. Let's get over to strategy and tactics. Okay, Ignacy, we have been holding back questions that have your name written all over them because, we want to make sure you're here to take these questions. So the first one here, which can't be more awkward. Remember, this is from our friend Kurt Van Hoyveld, who's Vitruvian Gamer. He says, remember the days when you said Portal Games was Asmo ready, Ignacy? How Asmo ready is Ignacy? If you could sell Portal Games to Asmodee, I guess, or any company, let's go with that, and it would mean a Bonacore-style retirement. God, I love this question. Would you have to think about it? How attached to Portal Games are you as the founder? Would you consider leaving the company and starting something new? Go for a new challenge, or just have a Bonacore-style retirement, which I added at the end then.
Have to buy a bright yellow car.
The floor is yours, Ignacy.
This is the moment I'm presenting my offer.
I can negotiate. I will be your broker on this, agent on the deal. How's that? But
are you the financial advisor?
On a serious note, we were joking about being Asmo ready for years with Steven, and of course on that I cannot comment publicly, but we are witnessing what's happening here in Poland. Like I'm no longer CEO of Portal Games. I'm just working here as a head of development. So I'm working less and less. I'm less and less involved in the Portal Games operations. So if something happens in the future, which is not going to happen, but if something happens, I totally see myself like Steven, just having fun and definitely not starting something new. Like I started Portal Games 24 years ago, and I'm not going to start anything new. So yes, I'm rather in my position of having a well working operation, Portal Games here in Poland, amazing team, and I'm working less and less, and I'm less and less involved in the operations and just developing games, testing games, and having some fun. And like right now, doing a podcast with my friends.
Well, and that's your forte, right? That is your strength. That's and probably that's your love. You've said it here, you don't like the business end, or it's not your strength, or you'd rather be playing, designing, developing games. So if, and now you've stepped back from the financial operational matters, you're doing what you love, sort of. So maybe I would see that if you ever sold the company, and I have no knowledge, and neither does Corey, neither does anybody else, but you'll tell me later. If you ever sold the company, you would probably continue to do some design and either sell it back to the company that bought you or to somebody else, because you just have a feel and a love and you're good at it. That would be my opinion.
I have to say, Ignacy, you're a storyteller. You're a social storyteller. And for everybody else out there, if you ever got the opportunity to go to a convention with Ignacy, he tells the greatest tales about early games and early design, and those are some of my very favorite talks and conventions that I ever go to. So don't miss that opportunity. So I could see if you retired, I could see you just going to conventions and talking and giving those amazing things about, sleeping in school gymnasiums, trying to start a portal.
That is true. That here in Poland, when I have more opportunities and I go to conventions as a speaker and do a lot of different lectures, there's a lot of fun and anecdotes from old times, and people sometimes cannot believe how the market, how the industry looked like back then, because I was here from the very beginning here in Poland. So it's always the funnest stories.
Created the market. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Created the market in Poland. Absolutely. Kurt, he can't help himself. Kurt Van Heuvel. Oh, by the way, and again, Vitruvian Gamer is his cool nickname there on BGG. He asks if you could pick one designer to co-design a game with, not Eric Lang, as there already has been some stuff, by the way, where you, by the way, where are you with that? Which one would it be, Ignacy? If you could hire one artist to create artwork for a future game, which one would your dream one be? You already have Vincent Dutrait for the Robinson cover, so you can't pick him. So Ignacy, and I think we can all kind of talk about this one. I'm co-designing a game. Who would be your number one co-designer if you could, if you had the time, you would want to design with?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, because should I approach it as a person who I personally love and I just want to hang out with them and play test the games and have fun, or the designer that I appreciate as a super talented person who has a great mind, and actually I don't know them personally, maybe he's not super kind, but he is just a brilliant and genius. I would go with Richard Garfield, which I admire and respect, and he is the number one designer for me. If we talk about personality, as I said many times, there's so many nice and kind people. I don't see you, Steven.
Not Bonacore?
So
you're not a
there's so many
designer.
great opportunities with. In many interviews I said Emerson, designer of Century, like he's so kind, and just being with him and talking about game design and designing games will be a dream come true. I think that I would go like a combo of super kind person and super brilliant designer, Bruno Catala. I met him many times here
Great
in Europe
guy.
at conventions. He's so funny. Like talking with him, you are just laughing out loud all the time. He's anecdote after anecdote after anecdote, and on top of that, he's so freaking brilliant. So maybe one day I will go with Bruno to do something together. That will be my pick. What's yours?
Wow.
For me, it would, of course, have to be Ignacy to actually work with you on a game, of course. But since you're going to be retired soon and you're not going to do that, maybe my second choice would maybe be Martin Wallace, who's a friend, genius designer, so talented, history of amazing historical. I like to call them Waros, is kind of the games that he has almost cornered them in the beginning. It's like he had the market on Euro-based war games, Waro. So yeah, and he's a good guy, a little crazy, but also geniuses are a little crazy. So Martin, I'd pick him. Corey, I mean, you're not a designer. I mean, no joke about that.
Well,
would you pick somebody?
I would, absolutely.
Okay.
So again, I'm not a designer, but I have had the opportunity to be in brainstorming sessions and playtesting sessions with a whole bunch of different designers. And I think I think I would have to co-design. I'm not sure I have the tenacity and the energy to keep on with a project to its completion. But there's two names that immediately come to mind if I'm going to co-design. The first is of course, Daryl Andrews. Daryl is the nicest human being in the world. He's the master of co-design, and he can take ideas and bounce them back and forth, and it's crazy. The second one is Johnny Pack Canton. I have been in a lot of brainstorming sessions, and his mind is incredible. He comes up with the cleverest ideas, the consolidation and editing of complicated things into really easy pieces. We've bounced ideas back and forth. I was involved in the card game that's going to be the pack-in for Unconscious Mind, and that's one of my favorite experiences of my whole life, is just sitting in a dark room with Johnny Pack and Henry Audubon and talking about how to design a simple card game. it was just incredible. So those two names immediately come to mind.
And and artists to work with. Michael Menzel for me is I just love his work on every level. I would pick Michael Menzel. Anybody else?
Alan Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Alan Lee, Lord of the Rings artist.
Sure. Wonderful.
And I have to go with Quan Chai. So Quan Chai Moria has so many different art styles, and I got the opportunity recently to hang out with him both at the studio down in LA where Quan Chai lives and at Gathering of Friends. And he's such an amazingly nice guy, and his art style, he can do anything and do it well. So cool.
Yeah, I had the privilege and honor and the pleasure to work with two of my favorites. So Vincent Dutrait did Robinson Crusoe for me, and Quan Chai did Pret-a-Porter for me. So like basically dreams come true. I always say that if you want to achieve something, just do your best and maybe you'll be lucky. And I was lucky with that. So Vincent and Quan Chai did my games, and I'm very proud of it.
Very cool. One last quick one. This is from Mario Sosa, MS Spider _89 for Ignacy Steven. If you could instantly learn a skill, Matrix style, useful for board games, what would you want it to be? Game designer? Well, Ignacy is out of this because he's already a game designer. Insert designer, creator of inserts, illustrator, graphic designer, rules writer, editor, any other thing. Everybody can answer this. If you could instantly learn a skill, which one of these, which game design skill, game industry skill would you want?
I'd go for game developer editor. That ability to take like a really interesting complex idea and just bring it into the realm of elegance and simplicity and make it very, very usable from a rough but brilliant start point. I find that ability amazing.
I would love to have any art skills whatsoever. So if I could illustrate, if I could do a piece of art that people would actually like instead of a stick drawing, that's where I would go. Illustrator.
I would go with the coding, programming. I know I can still learn it. This is not like a magical skill, but I'm old and lazy. So yeah, but it would help me a lot if I can do some even simple coding for some support for the game instead of waiting for coders to do it 6 months later.
Very cool. And with that, let's get over to playtesting. So last week, Corey and I, of course, were at the Gathering of Friends, and Corey asked this very interesting question. Corey, do you want to ask it again for everybody?
I just want to put the precursor out there that you literally asked me to write a question live on the spot. It was a very cruel thing to do to me.
I asked you to write a question before the show started, and it took you like 40 minutes to throw something into the show notes. But sure.
I left you for 2 weeks, and there are already arguments. Like, come on.
Yeah, I've known him too long. So my question was, the Gathering of Friends is an annual gaming event which was begun by noted designer Alan R. Moon over 30 years ago. Over the years, it's become almost a game industry event, with game designers performing demos and playtests of the latest designs for both publishers and gamers. If you were to throw your own Gathering of Friends, what game designers would you invite to your event? And what games of their design or other games would you like them to play with you at your event?
I'd like to point out that I did more editing on that question than I've ever done on an Ignacy question, just for the record. Okay, so
well, English is not my native language.
So I'll pick one first. We have about a half dozen or so here. Eric Langabach, he says, I really don't want to play prototypes all that much, so I'd invite anyone who promised not to bring any of those. He doesn't like prototypes. I played beta versions of RPGs every now and then, and it's a bit of a hit and miss in my experience. Sometimes you see greatness that will come. Sometimes it just crashes and burns, and you kind of don't want to play it ever again. So he's somebody who just basically says, I don't want to play prototypes. So if a designer comes, he didn't mention any, he just wants to play their already published designs. Anybody else?
There's so many good answers in here. So Sean Fleury is a friend of the channel, and he works with me on Dice Tower now. He says, for me, two names that instantly popped in my head, Shem Phillips and Ryan Lockett. I've gotten a chance to talk and interview with both of them. They're amazing people. I can't, that's a fantastic answer for it. But he also said, but after giving it some thought, I think I would like to have some more lesser known designers there. He says, I'd love to play Mortem with Sergei Minovich. Mortem is a fantastic storytelling adventure detective deduction game in Middle Ages. The Secret of Chernobyl with Masej Druing and Krzysztof Gloznicki. And I apologize, Ignacy, I cannot pronounce
very close.
things with too many accents. And of course, this is my favorite part of it, Robinson Crusoe with the best Portal Games designer, Johanna Kuzenka.
Oh,
that's there you go.
Joanne is awesome though.
Joanna's designs are
I want to
amazing.
share the sad news that was already announced that John left the company a few months ago.
Oh my goodness.
So now I am the best Portal Games designer. Just saying, like,
Okay.
she left. Yeah, the Joanna left in February. She is amazing. I fully confirm. And if you guys invite her for the convention, she would play all day long and all night long, and she would
That's
kick your
amazing.
asses because she's so smart and so good.
I wish her absolutely the very best. And her designs are always amazing.
She's doing great, yes. I like the answer from Valentin, because the answer says, I just want a 2-people gathering with Rainer Knizia and myself when we will play his games, all of them. Rainer did a couple of hundred games, so there'll be quite a long convention.
780 on BGG or something like that the last time I checked, but there's always new ones.
Oh, he just did another one.
There you go.
During this recording.
No, literally, I see new Reiner games all the time. There were like 3 new ones here.
He's I don't know how he did it, how he does it.
No.
So for next week, we have the question that Ignacy has asked us. Ignacy, I did very small editing on yours, unlike Corey's question. What is your question that we're going to ask everybody for playtesting for next week?
My question is, if you buy board games online, do you buy at Amazon or your favorite board game online store? Just checking how the US market is dominated by this monster. And to give the context why I came up with this question, here in Poland, we have Amazon.pl trying to operate, but at this point it's very, very small, and it is absolutely not dominating the market. And basically, I doubt if anybody's buying board games on Amazon.pl. So here in Poland, online board game stores are very powerful. There's many of them. There is fierce competition. They are absolutely great stores. And when I look at the market in America, my perception is that this market is dominated a lot by the Amazon.com. But this is just my perception here from Europe. So I'm asking the question to our listeners, where are you guys buying games if it is not your local game store, right?
Right. And
fantastic.
So the obviously we have Amazon, lots of board games, and we have Miniatures Market, which is owned by Asmodee. And we
Game
have
Nerds, cool stuff.
It does they've backed out.
Cool stuff is
Noble Knight is fairly large as well.
Yep.
But I'm gonna say that if I'm buying online, and I try to go to local game stores when I'm buying, if I buy online, I probably go to Amazon, and that is because when I go to if I'm buying one game and I go to another store, I'm going to have to pay more because the shipping, and Amazon sends it over here for free. That's my current way. That's not well. I'd rather go to a local store, of course, and pay more there. Yeah. I'll pay more at the local store.
Exactly. I tend to be stuck on timing. So if I know there's a new game out, it's usually because it's been out for like a day. And Amazon tends to be a little slower with when the games are available. So sometimes it's Amazon, but a lot of times I'll go with one of the other game stores because they'll have it very early. I'll also shout out there to Board Game Bliss in Canada,
Yep.
and they'll tend to have a lot of the harder to find titles very early.
Yep.
I also will hit up a lot of the Amazon in other countries if I want a game that's not available in the US. So Amazon DE over in Germany and Amazon JP over in Japan. That's, for me, one of the only ways to get some of these games that have not come across to the US.
Thank you.
What's your answer, Ignacy?
I'm like, as I said, we don't have Amazon in Poland. Like it is technically it's operating, but their market share is not existing at this point. So we have a ton of great stores. I have one local game store, as you guys said, the same. Like if I have a chance, I go to a local game store, and if I don't have, I buy online, and we have a plenty of like. That's why I'm confused. That's why I'm investigating this. Like, if we now start listing online stores, probably I will beat you. Like, I will list more online stores from Poland than you would list online stores in America, even though America is like 50 times bigger than Poland. Because this is my thesis. There's so much of dominance of Amazon that there is not many competition.
Very, very interesting. So right now, Ignacy will create a thread on Board Game Geek in our guild for you to answer this question for us, and we'll take your answers next week. Please go to our guild on Board Game Geek and find our playtesting thread for this question and post your answer there. And in the meantime, it's the final scoring.
Can I edit this question?
What? You edit it? It's perfect.
Yeah. I will make it more perfect.
You can do anything you want. You're putting it up there.
Add more consonants and more accents.
Put it in Polish. I mean, that'll go over very well. And now we'll go to the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever you like to get your podcast, or now watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather Gaming YouTube channel. You want to be part of this podcast? You can just ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment by posting them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek, and also answer our question to you from our playtesting segment also by going to our guild on Board Game Geek and looking for the thread with this episode's question. Check out our websites, which are portalgamesus.com, podfathergaming.com, and dicetowerdish.com. We're all over social media, so interact with us, please. On Facebook, please like our pages, which are /BoardGamesInsider, /PortalGamesUS, and /PodfatherGaming. You can speak directly to Ignacy, Corey, and Steven. Instagram and Twitter, it's @PortalGamesUS, @PodfatherGaming, @DicetowerDish, @DicetowerNow, and the active YouTube channels, Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and the Podfather of Gaming. By the way, we have to make a small change here. People actually said that one of your channels isn't active, Ignacy. So I'm going to make an edit here when I finally remember to do so, to go look for the exact name of your channel on YouTube and put it in there. Just saying. And TikTok, Ignacy, is Portal Games US. Go ahead. You want to help me? Here he goes. He's making a change on the fly again, right in front of my eyes.
It is not active. There is no new movies. The YouTube channel is still existing, but
it's called Portal Games Movies. Is that what it's called?
This one is active. I just posted a vlog like 3 weeks ago.
Perfect. There you go. Portal Games Movies and Podfather of Gaming. We really love to see you in person at an upcoming convention in 2023. So if you come to one of the ones we talk about, please find us. Let's have a chat. Let's get a drink. We really live to do this with you. Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Joshua Bowman from Tabletop Submarine Podcast. If you want your podcast edited by Joshua, you can reach him to discuss this at tabletopsubmarine@gmail.com. And that great voice you hear doing our intro, outro, and in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Do we have anything special to talk about? And I see something from Crazy Corey here. Corey, what is this
about? I just wanted to throw out there that if you've ever wondered perhaps what board game would save your life if you happen to be shot with a gun, and maybe what board games are appropriate to play while skydiving. I might have a film studio down in LA that's doing some interesting videos along those lines. So let's watch for some videos coming out probably in May.
I cannot wait for said professional studios to start releasing these crazy videos. It's going to be pretty epic to see skydiving and board gaming.
Where I can watch it?
It's not open yet. We're going to be Above Board is the name of our company, and we're going to start releasing videos likely in May with a big, huge launch at Gen Con.
It's going to be insane. I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, building up content now.
Until then, we'll see you next time on Board Games Insider. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
See y'all later.